Hey there, it's Mark Drager. Today, I have Bud Morris, who is the president and founder of Canada's Best Store Fixtures, and we are talking about one of the most hot topic issues, frictionless retail. Bud, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me this morning.
We were talking a little bit before we hit record. I know in January, you guys were down in the U.S. at the big retail conference, and you were saying that frictionless retail was all the rave. It seems like in 2022, everybody is talking about it. Why do you think frictionless retail is like top of mind for everybody?
There's some technologies and some software and some hardware that we saw at the show in January that I thought really stood out amongst the group was, so someone's in a store, they have their app open, they go to a section of the store, they want to buy something large, office furniture or something big. All they have to do is open their app, scan the barcode. They can, if they want, pay for the thing right now in the aisle, and then select, I want this delivered to my house, or I want it waiting for me when I get to the exit, when I'm going to leave. So you don't have to push a button or go look for somebody to help you, or I'm going to take this big thing and stick it in my little shopping cart and hope that it doesn't crash on the way down aisle number 6. Frictionless shopping, I think, is fantastic and it's very helpful and very customer service savvy. It was good. It was good stuff.
Yeah, I think you've touched on a really great point. And one thing that I've heard is that some people can break down retail into two different types of experiences. There's the stuff that we have to get. So I can think of, pharma, grocery, hardware can fit into that if you're a contractor or what have you. And then there's the things that we may want to get, fashion, books, whatever it might be. And if we think about the two different types of shopping experiences, it seems that over the last number of years that the want to get has focused more and more and more on the experiential, creating that experience. But where frictionless retail is really interesting and powerful is on the stuff that I have to get. It's just make this as fast and as easy and as simple and help me shop in whatever way I want. Because, I have a family of 6. If I'm going to go do the grocery shop and it takes me an hour and a half, I don't want to have to wait like 20 minutes in line after doing all of this stuff. And so, we've spent a lot of time focused on the experiential side with the stuff that we want to get. But the power, as you just mentioned, is in that stuff that we have to get every day, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think that for retailers, the challenge is the balance, right? It's the balance between being able to offer the have to gets as frictionless as possible while also providing an alternate customer service experience for the people that want friction. It's the balance between the two, and I think that like in anything, we have customers that we've built retail locations in the universities. We built convenience stores that students have their fob or their card, and they walk in and they pick up what they need and they blast out of there and they get billed to their account. And I think that's as frictionless as it gets, and that there's no requirement for staffing, which makes it low overhead, which means, the retailer can get into spaces where they may otherwise not have been able to afford to get. Do I need to pay somebody to stand around there all day to have maybe one person out of 50 want to talk to them about a granola bar? But in a case like, a big box store, you can't go completely frictionless because there's going to be people looking for help. So there's a balance somewhere in there. And I think we're finding it. I think that retailers are finding it. I think that some pain points along the way, you got Amazon Go goes to the nth degree. But the other side of the harder pill to swallow for Amazon Go is all of that technology costs a lot of money. So the upfront cost is tremendous versus the sort of the long haul cost of staffing. So it's just different financial issues. But in the long run, I mean, people cost money.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy for us when we hear the word frictionless retail to think of unmanned stores, but it's not simply that. I mean, in its simplest form, SelfCheckout is frictionless retail. And I know Canadian Tire has invested a lot of money, but they have a fantastic app, and they're even suggesting now in their advertising, if you go into a store and you look up what you want, we will tell you which aisle. We will tell you how many we have, and you can go in and find exactly what you need in simpler terms. That's frictionless retail.
Yes.
This isn't about removing all touch points,
right,
or making customer service terrible, or making things as cheap as possible. It's about looking at the different types of shopping experiences you have and making things as streamlined as possible. And that's going to have benefits for both the retailer and the customer.
Absolutely agree. And I think that's the approach that retailers need to take. I hear too many examples of going too far. They just want to remove the human element. I want to do whatever it takes to not have to talk to people in this experience. And that's not what should be the goal. What should be the goal is streamlining the experience, making it as easy as possible, as frictionless as possible for people to get done what they need to get done in their daily lives.
So if I am a retailer, let's use an example. Let's say that I'm a medium-sized grocery format retailer, and I am very, very used to shopping the traditional way, right? We have our products, we have our goods, we have our inventory systems, we have checkout at the front of the store. How do I even start to move towards frictionless retail? Because I don't have any infrastructure set up around that right now.
Yeah, I think the first step is becoming more and more prominent as the easiest segue in is the self-checkout. I think that's number one. And we've got a whole line of self-checkout options available now. We built a catalog around it. There's some really good stuff. I mean, we often talk about, when we're talking about retail, online shopping, removing the ability for retailers to sell impulse items. So impulse is, you can imagine, in a retail environment, impulse, there's a lot of money to be made in impulse. And quite honestly, when I go into a store, it's kind of the stuff that I'm looking for, the little treasures in the dump bins and stuff like that. We built now self-checkout aisles. So we'll build an entire environment around self-checkout. So queuing comes into play. So if you imagine you walk in the store and you're going to check out, you got your stuff, you've got a queue for self-checkout station, and we'll offer impulse items along the aisle into the self-checkout area. And then around the self-checkout, you'll have your bag of chips or your gum or your, tape measure, whatever you might need impulsively. If it's me, it's a tape measure, all around, built around the self-checkout area. And then, just make the whole experience a lot easier. Initially, when self-checkouts came out, people are like, what are you doing? Like, I can just go to the person right over there and get everything checked out. But you make the experience friendly, accessible, and then people prefer the self-checkout rather than being checked out by somebody. I mean, because really, the checkout process is not a sexy process. The person checking you out is really not excited to be doing it. You guys aren't best friends or anything. You're not learning anything from each other other than, what kind of toothpaste you might like to use. But I think that self-checkout process is the first and easiest step for any retailer to sort of jump in, to give an option and lower their overheads while doing it. I mean, you don't need to have staff there standing around waiting for someone to walk up and stare at them for a minute.
And taking it the next step. So if self-checkout is kind of the starting point, the next step might seem like a large move, but it's going to be moving into some kind of smart technology. So
sure.
Something that's app driven, so that way I can have an app and then I can go into a store, or I can scan my own items, or maybe some kind of smart cart. I know that some technology providers out there are providing these smart pieces of hardware that you can simply put onto a traditional shopping cart. And that opens up a whole new world.
Right. We saw the first inklings, the first versions of that smart cart system, I want to say 12 years ago at Euroshop, where there was a device that you attach, and it was used in a grocery environment. There's a device that you attach to your shopping cart. You swiped your credit card, and then you scanned your items as you were shopping, and then you bagged it and you cruised out at the end of it. But then it quickly morphed into why am I going to have this sort of add-on device when everyone has a device on the, and they're carrying it around with them anyways? And I think that, we transition quickly over the past 10 years to everyone to the sort of the realization everyone's got a cell phone, or the vast majority has got a cell phone. So let's make use of it. And people have become comfortable with the idea of using it in their shopping experience. And I think I think you're right. It's a big jump for the retailer. It's not for the guy that has one store. It's the guy that has multiple stores to make that investment.
Yeah, even as you described, imagine I go into, so I use my shop as an example. I go into my grocery shop, and on my device, I have my cart, and as I pick up each item, I scan it. I can bag it in real time.
Yep.
But as soon as I'm comfortable sharing with you, because I'm scanning everything, every single item that I want, this takes loyalty kind of card data to the next level. Because
Sure.
Now we've opened up a communication channel where you as the retailer can suggest more impulse buys to me. You can send out push notifications to me. You can also look at the data on the other side. You can start to optimize your inventory levels based off of what you know is happening kind of in real time. And you know my preferences, and you know exactly what I want. And so there's the data side, there's always two sides to this. For the consumer, there's the convenience, there's the time savings, there's the ability for me to get exactly what I want when I want it, which frankly, that's what online shopping gives me. If I go online, I can look at exactly what I want as quickly as possible and purchase in one click, but I don't have the actual tactile experience. Like I can't look at whether the apple looks fresh or not. I can't smell whether the bun, smells really nice. I just there's something about an in-person retail experience that cannot be replaced.
Sure.
But I can have that ease and quickness. Now, on the retailer side, just think of not only the savings in terms of staffing, but in terms of just optimizing all of your inventory, all of your shelf space. That just takes it to the next level. I mean, that's the way that I'm seeing this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, environment. I mean, you can't take away environment. You can't reduce the value of environment and all of that stuff that you said. I mean, the smells and the feels and the touch and the interaction, right? It's all of that motivates a customer to buy said item that they may be experiencing at the time, but then make it easy for them to be able to do that, to interact. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
I heard a story from a European retailer. They have grocery shops and they also have convenience stores. They wanted to test this unmanned store experience to see, whether the technology would really work or not. So they picked one of the hardest use cases possible. They went into a rural community, a small rural community that has not been able to sustain a traditional grocery store. Like store after store after store failed and left the community. So they said, okay, we're going to pick this place. And they went in advance to moving in. They went to all of the local people and they said, hey, we want to come here and bring you a grocery store, right? Win-win, right? This local community typically has to travel really far. They're going to get their local, small, convenience kind of grocery shop. And leading up to it, they said, please tell us exactly what you have in your fridge and what you have in your pantry. Download our app and scan everything. You'd think most people wouldn't do that, right? Privacy reasons, whatnot.
Oh, sure.
People did it. Because the benefit to them is like, hey, if you tell us what you have, we're going to stock our shop with exactly what you want.
And we need groceries.
So they did it. Yeah. We need groceries. We don't want to travel. So there's this benefit to the customer if you explain it. So these people download the app, they scan everything, they set up the shop, and the shop is sustainable. The shop is profitable because they're giving the community exactly what they want. It's unmanned. And not only that, because there's a value and they've trained all of the people to use the app for their shopping experience, the local grocer is sending out all these push notifications.
Right.
Now, push notifications are a great way to be able to notify people and remind them what to do and to shape behavior. But in the industry, there's something like only 18% of people use push notifications.
It can be used poorly as well. That's the problem with them.
This company is 88%.
That's amazing.
Of their customers have accepted it. And then take this a step further now, because you can easily imagine, wow, okay, if you're a teenager, if you're in your 20s, if you're a millennial, of course you want technology. The average age of the shopper is in their late 70s.
It's unbelievable.
This is unbelievable because what it is about giving the customers what they want, communicating exactly why you want it, and now this European grocery company is able to build the economics to be able to support in a community where typically every other type of format has failed. This is amazing.
It's fantastic.
I'm so excited.
Really, you sparked something with me when you said that. I get concerned, and I don't know if you had this experience as well, but I get concerned about the AI. So if my retailer, my grocer, whatever, knows all the stuff that's in my pantry, it's kind of like that. I call it the Netflix effect. And so do they pigeonhole me into this place? Like when I'm shopping for stuff, I'm looking for new experiences. I'm looking for something different. I don't want you to know. So Netflix, I call it the Netflix experience, because Netflix says, okay, so you watched whatever, a gangster movie, and then they just start showing you all these gangster movies. Well, maybe I'm looking for a hockey movie. Like, I want a different experience, but the Netflix just takes the AI about, what you watched most recently, all of this stuff, and they sort of bundle it together and then throw the things at you that they think you want to watch. Not necessarily what I want to browse everything. I don't want you to tell me what you think I want to watch. I want to look on my own. And maybe it's somewhere in between. These are the things that we're offering you based on your selections. However, this is the whole store that you can shop as well. There's, you like, Sunnydew orange juice, but your neighbor likes this. You may want to give that a try.
Well, but that opens up brand new possibilities for the things that e-commerce does really well. So again, I think this is super exciting. Now, you touched on one other style of frictionless retail, which is the subscription model. And, smart fridges are allowing this specifically with grocery, but a lot of retailers are picking up on the subscription model where a device or a smart device, or even in your home, you're able to indicate that, I am now running low on this thing that I commonly buy or I commonly purchase, and then being able to just have it sent directly to home from the retailer. That may eliminate maybe the in-store experience, but that's still another version of frictionless retail for those who are looking at more of a holistic view of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that, it goes back to our original point, right, Mark? It's not, retailers have to approach this from the perspective where you are making the experience for your shopper more seamless, frictionless. It's the word, right? It's they can't approach it from the perspective of we're reducing labor. They have to approach it, we are trying to help you and make this experience as good as possible for you using technology, not using technology to replace human beings. That's the big learning, I think, in my experience anyway.
It's funny. We sat down with someone from Healthy Planet, one of your clients that you've worked with a lot. We were working with them on this profile, talking about what it takes to scale a business really quickly. And what surprised me, and maybe this is common knowledge for all retailers, but what really hit me was the fact that you can scale the finances, you can scale the numbers, you can scale the locations, the technology, you can scale everything. It's very hard to scale the team and the culture and the customer experience.
Sure.
Because for retailers who count on product knowledge or store management, being able to have that, being able to grow that takes time.
Absolutely.
Now, rather than thinking of frictionless retail as, hey, we can remove the number of staff members at the front of the store and eliminate them, imagine the possibility of just simply moving those key staff members from the front of the store, doing this repetitive task that can easily be automated, and now putting them on the floor or putting them in key points, changing the mindset from simply checkout to more shopper experience or customer experience or upselling or helping people direct them to the other things. And I don't have the exact report, but it has proven time after time in country after country and culture after culture that when you start to incorporate these things, not only does the average cart value go up, but the monthly and the quarterly spend for shoppers also goes up. So yes, this is an investment in technology. It's a shift in mindset, but people are spending more money when you have better experiences.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's right back to basics. Build an environment, build it and they will come, right? Build an environment, build a shoppable place, have an offering that is new and exciting and what people want, and make it easy for them to purchase it, and they will. With the introduction of all this technology, and we feel like we're going to outer space, but we're really getting right back to grassroots retailing. We're just giving the customer what they want as easy as we can do it.